Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Before I say thank you very much to Bapak Dr. Abdul Aziz Wahab MAG as Director of Zainul Hasan Genggong Islamic University, and also I say thank you very much to Mr. Zainuddin MPD who always guiding me to make a thesis proposal till now. Before I wanna introduce myself, my name is Novi Dwi Arzana and I'm the student of English Education Department of Zainul Hasan Genggong Islamic University. Well, here I'm going to explain you about my thesis proposal under the title An Analysis of Student Problem in Speaking Skill of English Course at Istiqlal Islamic Boarding School. Here, there are three chapters that will be explained by me. For the first is chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. Well, for the first is about a background study. Speaking is very significant in a second language learning, as we know that speaking is one of the skills in English that we must improve. Feeling nervous are commonly happen when we want to speak English, especially by students who learn English. After the researcher did observation at the Istiqlal Islamic boarding school, the researcher found that the students have problem in speaking skill which can be seen from the result of the test conducted by the teacher. So that's why the researcher chose this school because English is one of the program which provided by the interview between the researcher and the teacher. Well, point B is about focus of the study. On this research, the researcher focused on the student problem in speaking skill and also the teacher should do to solve the problem in speaking skill by student of English course at Istiqlal Islamic Boarding School. Next is point C, it's about the statement of the problem. There are two statements in this research. For the first, what are the student problem in speaking skill? And the second, what will the teacher do to solve the problem in speaking skill by the student of English course at Istiqlal Islamic Boarding School? Point D is about the objective of the research. There are two objectives on this research. For the first, to know what are the student problem in speaking skill, and the second is to solve the student problem in speaking skill. Well, for the next is point E about significance of the research. There are two significant of this research. For the first, significant for the student and significant for the teacher. Significant for the student able to know the kinds of their problem in speaking skill and also the student can solve their problem in speaking skill. Well, significant for the teacher able to know the kinds of the problem in speaking skill and also the teacher able to know what should the teacher do to solve the problem in speaking skill. Well, the last is about private study. The novelty of this research is how to analyze the student problem in speaking skill at Islamic boarding school. Because no one researcher did research on speaking skill at Islamic boarding school. Most of researcher did research at senior high school and also in university. So, besides through this research, the researcher will focus on informal education that is English course at Istiqlal Islamic Boarding School. Well, the next is chapter 2. In chapter 2, I will explain about the problem in speaking skill. The problem in speaking skill can be seen from two aspects. These are psychological problem and language problem. Point A is psychological problem. Psychological problems are problems that often hinder emotional and physical health. Like according to Johanna, there are some psychological factors that faced by the student when they speak in the class, like fear of mistake, shyness, anxiety, and lack of confidence. Point B is a language problem. According to Penny UR, the student language problem in speaking are inhibition, nothing to say, mother tongue use, and etc. Well, for the next is chapter 3. For the first about research design. In this research, the researcher used descriptive research with a qualitative approach. Like according to Muhammad Anal-Latif, qualitative research is a process of inquiry to understanding human behavior by building complex and Why the researcher used this method? Because the researchers conclude that qualitative research is a form of inquiry to get information, way of analysis individual or phenomena in their natural setting. And also, the subject of this research is the student of English course at Istiqlal Islamic Boarding School. Well, for the name is course of data. The researcher will collect the data from two types of data, namely primary data and secondary data. Primary data is a data source that directly provides data to data collector, while secondary data is a data taken by the researcher indirectly from the subject. Well, for the next is data collection. In this research, there are three steps. For the first, observation, interview, and documentation. While observation, the researcher observes the student activity in speaking class, while interview is a meeting for two persons to exchange information and ideas through question and answering. And the last, documentation. Documentation will be accurate information during this research. Well, for the next is data analysis. In this research, there are three steps. For the first, data reduction, data display, and the last, conclusion drawing. Data reduction is refers to the process of selecting, while data display is the second component or level of qualitative data analysis, and the last, conclusion drawing. The last step of analysis the data, the researcher drive the conclusion of the data. Okay, I think enough and thank you very much for your honest attention, and I do apologize for making mistake. The last I say wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.